I want to talk first just about why she's here and why she's a perfect choice for us. A couple of things, first of all, she's basketball royalty in the state of Indiana. Let's just start there. But, for me, it was really about bringing a proven leader. Somebody who has great experience in tough moments, great experience in playoff moments, in high-pressure situations. I watched her as a player. I watched her as a coach. She knows how to take those moments and never get too high, never get too low. Just a high basketball intellect. The way that she communicates with her players is very impressive. I feel fortunate, really, that we're sitting here and that we have this chance to, at this pivotal time, to really go back to work and finish some unfinished business that we had from 2015 when we left that one hanging.
Clark Nation, when you watch this video, do you feel like you were being leveled with? Do you feel like Kelly Croscott was being genuine? That little, before she said what she said, looking back now, do you think she was piling it high before she, said that? To me, looking back, now that's a tell. She was making it up. She was making it up for her friend, for a personal relationship. It's funny how when women are asked tough questions by the media, they say, you wouldn't ask a man that. You remember Kathy Engelbert? I don't know. When I find that video, I'm gonna play it for you. I always find videos I say I'm gonna get for y'all. Remember that time that she was asked about, was she gonna be the commissioner for the foreseeable for the foreseeable future? Remember that question? She took offense to that. Kathy Engelbert took offense to that, and her retort was, you wouldn't ask a man that question. What? What does a man have to do with you being accountable? We're going to talk a lot. This video is going to reflect on the accountability and or the lack thereof by this front office. I want y'all to, I'm taking you back so we can know where we're going. If you don't know your past, you don't know your future. The past told us everything we needed to know. We just ignored it. You know how it is when you move into a new home? You're so enamored with the experience of buying a new home. You look over the finer things. Some people may hire an inspector to bring them down to reality in terms of what's really going on with their home. But if you don't do that, you're left with finding out what you're going to find out after they have handed you the keys. And you're left with the responsibility of managing a mortgage. That's what is happening here with this new management team that came on board in 2025. They went and got Kelly Croscott. I think she was the first move. They went and got Kelly Croscott. I think she went and got Amber Cox. Lynn Dunn has been like the furniture, that you know how you go in some people's house, the living room is a museum. They got plastic all over everything. Can't sit here. This is just for show. We don't allow anyone to sit in here. And if we do have a moment in here, it's uber brief that you're going to sit in here. Special occasions only. But that's neither here nor there. I just thought I'd bring that up. But as I was saying, this management team, their lack of accountability. Did you see Stephanie White when she was asked about Congress and what Congress thought?
Several members of Congress sent a letter this week to Commissioner Engelbert. They said they're concerned about what they called physical hostility and violence toward her. One line in particular said, quote, "Concerning reports suggest that many of these attacks against Caitlin Clark may be racially motivated." What's your reaction to that?
Our team made a statement yesterday, so you can find that statement.
No, I understand that. I just mean as a coach, when you hear one of your players is being mentioned in a letter from members of Congress to the commissioner of the league, how do you handle that?
Again, that's not something we can control. We're not affiliated with those groups, and we try to keep the main thing, and focus on the things that we can control.
You have Stephanie White afraid to speak out, just like she was afraid to speak out about AT. She was very guarded in her response. Absolutely, what did she say? Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And then less than 24 hours later, she's defending AT. Stephanie White. That's who Stephanie White is. I want y'all to go back to day one now. You remember, she left Connecticut to come to Indiana. Caitlin Clark's career has nosedived under the leadership of Stephanie White. Stephanie White has not been nowhere near a blessing to Caitlin Clark. I have a problem with that. When they brought her on board, I thought the sky was going to be the limit for Caitlin Clark's career and the Indiana Fever's opportunity to advance further into the playoffs. They made the playoffs without Stephanie. Think about that now. They were a playoff team before Stephanie White even got here. So to almost make it to the final in Stephanie's first year was not such a tall order. People want to make it out to that because it happened without Caitlin Clark. That's the only reason why they're touting that feat as something that we should look forward to. They were a playoff team without Stephanie White. Under Christie Sides, they made the playoff. Okay, think about that now. So her coming in and getting this team to the finals, they have an Elite Eight, the playoff format for the W. It's just an Elite Eight. It's not that many rounds. It's not like the NBA or something like that, where you may have they got the play-in game. It's a different format. It's less rounds, less teams. I think they take the top 8 and go from there. So if you win your first round, you're in the conference final, and then the next game, you're playing for all the marbles. The next tournament, the next round, you're playing for all the marbles. Okay, in a 7-game series. So let's keep that in mind before we start handing out accolades to Stephanie White as if she's accomplished something great. They were a good team without Stephanie White. Everyone wants to talk about what this team is without Caitlin Clark, but this team was a playoff team without Stephanie White. Let's start there. So now when we go back to this interview, this presser where they were introducing Stephanie White to the Indiana. Well, it wasn't like they didn't know her. I didn't know Stephanie White. You all are going to have to give me the intel on who this woman is. We're finding out about her as we go. I didn't know she coached at Vandy. I didn't know that was not a great experience for her. I know this one thing about Stephanie White. She can't answer tough questions. She has trouble answering tough questions, and she is insulated by this front office, by the organization, and I dare say possibly the WNBA from answering tough questions. I want to play an interview by Dan Patrick, who wanted to talk with Kathy Engelbert and ask her some tough questions.
Yesterday, we were hoping to do an interview with Kathy Engelbert. She's the WNBA commissioner. Todd spoke to her a couple of nights ago, and we had a pairings party. Todd went up to her. She's been very friendly to the show. Last year at this event was friendly to us. And Todd said, hey, we'd love to have you on. There's a lot of questions. People have not heard answers from the commissioner. And she said yes. So yesterday, after the show, we waited almost 2 hours for her. This was scheduled. She was going to do a meeting in her hotel room, a conference call, and then she was going to join us. So Fritzy, for at least 90 minutes, is looking just for an update. We're standing by, we're waiting to interview her. They didn't, balk at anything, didn't say you can't ask anything. And we thought, okay, we're going to be able to finally ask questions about Caitlin Clark, the WNBA expansion, a lot of different things. And we waited and we waited and we waited. And then we got word, Todd did, that the commissioner said that the WNBA staff, the PR staff, said that she is not allowed to do this. They would prefer that she did not do this. The PR staff said that she is not allowed to do this. They would prefer that she did not do this.
She canceled the interview because she doesn't want to be held accountable. See, that's women's kryptonite. Accountability is kryptonite to most, if not some, women. I dare say some women, if not most, perhaps. Accountability is their kryptonite. They hate being, oh my God, they hate being held accountable. Now they love to lecture you when you're out of pocket, when they're trying to tell you about your shortcomings, the things you need to work on. But when you flip the script and start talking about them, their patience gets thin and short. Answers get real brief. They take it offensively. They start saying things like, you wouldn't ask a man that question. What does that even mean? What does that mean? Why would you say that in that context? But I don't want to labor you. I want to point out some things in this video about this front office. They've never really taken a stand for their superstar. It's almost as if they tried to defend Caitlin Clark, they may be deemed the R word. Because these women in this league, this certain group of women in this league, they love throwing that out at a moment's notice. When all else fails, throw out the R word, and that just deflects from all accountability. They love doing that. They love doing that. I want you to pay attention as we navigate through these videos. I think I'm going to call this part 1. Okay? There are going to be several. This may be my first series because I'm not going to get it all in one take. I'm not going to get it all in one video, and it's too much to unpack. But we're going to cover it. This first video, I want to take you back when she first came on board. Kelly brought her in. Kelly and Lynn Dunn. Now, I want y'all to notice they don't talk about Lynn Dunn in these videos, in these press conferences. But she is an integral part of the decision-making process of the Fever organization. They still let her hang around for some reason. Now you can say, well, it's because she won a championship. You know what? As long as you're being productive, but when your presence in this game, Gamebridge, starts becoming adversarial, remember that interview she did talking about culture? She talked more about culture like she was a coach. She talked in shout out to Venom. In that video she did with the other coaches, she talked about behavior and culture. Behavior and culture. And Caitlin, Stephanie White says her mentor is Lynn Dunn. She takes all her cues from Lynn Dunn, someone who has been a part of Stephanie White's life probably since this girl came out of junior high school or middle school. I don't know what y'all had at Indiana. Okay. The junior high turned into middle school in the early 80s in Texas. So in Indiana, I don't know how that plays out. But I dare say Lynn Dunn has been knowing Stephanie White before Stephanie White became a freshman in high school or a ninth grader in high school. Okay? That's how long she's been knowing this young lady. I don't want to get into the semantics of what I think about that, but I may get into it a little later down the series in other videos. But I want y'all to process that information. How Lynn Dunn has been a part of Stephanie White's life. I heard, it's a rumor, allegedly, she was a part of the recruiting process for Lynn Dunn. Lynn Dunn in terms of Stephanie White. Hey, what's up? She was a part of the recruiting process for her going to Purdue. So you know that just shows you she had her eye on her long before. I want y'all to keep that in mind as we move forward about this organization, because this letter from Congress tells a lot. Why has Congress taken more notice of the things that's been going on with your star player than you have, Stephanie White, Lynn Dunn, Kelly Croscott, Amber Cox? Why haven't you all been as adamant as Congress about these incidents? And you know for a fact they are racial in tone and nature. But you're afraid to say anything because you're afraid the hyenas are going to come out and take offense and call you the R word. And that's some of your people's greatest fear. Kathy Engelbert is being called the R word by your employees. You all hate that. You all are afraid of that. Matter of fact, you're more afraid of being called the R word than defending someone who is being targeted and has been targeted since her rookie season. She was the most flagrant foul player in the W. And there was no news coverage by CNN, fake news, by the fake news media. Where was the fake news media? Now that Congress has pointed this out, they have to pay attention. They have to pay attention. And my goodness, don't let 47 get involved. If 47 get involved, it's going to be a whirlwind. Why didn't you say anything sooner, Stephanie White? Look, I want you to look at how look at her defensive nature. Her defensive posture she has when this question is asked. Even before the question is asked, look at the look on this woman's face before they ask her this question about Congress, the letter from Congress. Look at her demeanor. She's offended that they would even ask her that question, because you know why? She's more afraid of what she has to hear when she goes home with Lisa Salters, and or what she might hear from her confidants she developed in her short tenure in the W as a head coach. She doesn't want to hear the drama from the hyenas and how they're quick to turn. Has anyone ever tried to feed a bunch of hyenas before? You know, they'll snatch the meat right out of your hand and then start to look at you as their next meal. And that's Stephanie's greatest fear, being the next meal of these hyenas. You all have a blessed day. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'm out.